Most people don't expect to need a family law attorney, but situations change, and when they do, the legal system can feel confusing and overwhelming. Today on The Domino Effect, we're joined by Tanisha Hall to talk about what families are facing and how they can navigate these moments with the right support. I'm your host, Charlene Stanford Green, and this is The Domino Effect. Family law touches more people than we often realize, especially for families navigating difficult situations. Joining us now is Family Law Litigation Director for the Legal Aid Society, Tanisha Hall. Tanisha, good morning. Thank you for being with us here today.
Hi, Charlene. Thank you for having me.
Of course. When I think of family law, I think of you as the subject matter expert when it comes to family law. And I want to talk to you about the type of cases that Legal Aid Society gets when it comes to family law issues.
We handle a host of family law issues. We handle divorces, paternity, custody by extended relatives, domestic violence injunctions, name changes, and step-parent adoptions.
Wow, so a lot.
Yes.
Most people hear family law and they automatically think custody or divorce. So if you're filing a case in Orange County, what is the umbrella that family law falls under?
It depends on your situation, and I explain this to my clients a lot. We primarily have the two types, divorce and paternity. Divorce, the official title is dissolution of marriage, but we just use divorce. Paternity can mean anything. It can mean that we're not sure who the parent is. We want to establish who the parent is, or for those cases where they already have a child support order, we want to establish a parenting plan, which includes what you think of as custody and visitation, but it's now time sharing and a parenting plan. So I have to explain, if somebody's following paternity action, it doesn't mean they don't think they're the father or they don't think that, the mother's the mother. Mm-hmm. It just means that they've never been married.
Okay, awesome. And then when it comes to the Legal Aid Society, what type of cases do you see the most?
Divorces are our highest area, right behind paternity. Okay. And we find that sometimes our clients need us to assist them with their full case. Sometimes they just need advice on direction and their next steps and their options.
Okay. And what are some of the challenges that you see clients face the most that are not represented by an attorney privately?
Beyond the emotions and the frustration of the process, I think sometimes the clients don't know that there are rules of procedure that need to be followed, or there are certain cases or what we call presumptions, right? Because right now, if you're starting a case dealing with a child, there's a presumption that, both parents should have equal time with that child. And so we have to tell them their rights and let them know what's coming up, what the processes are, what the steps are, which forms to complete. The good thing, though, for clients who we aren't able to assist, sometimes we're able to provide them with enough services where they can handle the case on their own, or we can hand them off to another agency who can assist them with handling that case.
And when a private attorney can't handle the case, do you provide resources to them if legal aid can't also assist?
Yes, we provide different levels of service. So we can provide full representation where we're going into court with them, we're taking their case to mediation or to trial. We can provide unbundled legal services where we do consultations and tell them about their rights, or we can assist them with completing their paperwork. And if we can't do that with them, or if we want to provide them with additional services, we can take them to one of our do-it-yourself classes, or we can tell them how to file their own divorce case, paternity case, or temporary custody case. Or we can do community education and outreach, or send them over to the clerk's office with some of the projects we have going on at the Self-Help Center.
Okay, awesome. So I want to talk to you about the do-it-yourself classes and the Self-Help Center. So what are the do-it-yourself classes that you all provide?
We do our divorce class, and all of our do-it-yourself classes are for cases where people want to file the case, where they're the petitioner, they're initiating the action. And in those classes, we tell them about the laws, we tell them about the procedures, we give them the forms, explain the forms to them and what everything in the form means, and then we allow them to complete the forms on their own and then come back to us for us to review them and to answer any additional questions they have. Sometimes we provide the notary services for them, we make the copies for them, and then they go over to the courthouse to file their paperwork, or they can file it online.
And for all of those services, which are amazing, that bundle you listed, are they of any cost to the client? Do they have to pay for that?
Everything we do is free of charge. We do not charge any attorney's fees. We are a private nonprofit. We are serving the low-income residents of Orange County or victims of crime in Orange County and helping them to secure safety and stability. The only time our clients would have to come out of pocket for costs is if they are over the income threshold to be declared indigent here in Orange County, which just means they don't have enough money to pay the filing fees. And then we can talk that process through them, like they would have to pay their own court fees and costs. But we never charge any attorney's fees.
Wow, that's a huge blessing and I'm sure relief for them as well. With regard to the do-it-yourself classes, how are they conducted? Are those in person? Are they online? Is it just English-speaking clients?
We provide those classes via Zoom, so everything is virtual. We email them the packet. If they need us to mail the packet to them, we mail the packet to them. But we provide the classes via Zoom, and then we do the follow-up either via Zoom or in person in our office. And the classes are offered in English and Spanish.
Okay, and just tell us again what classes are offered for clients?
Divorce class is offered in both English and Spanish. Paternity class, those for parents who've never been divorced, that is offered in English and Spanish. And then temporary custody of minors by extended family members or people who are caring for the children, that is offered in English.
Okay, awesome. So you have a lot of options for folks to get a hold of. And talk to us about the Self-Help Center. You mentioned that as well.
Yes, we currently have 3 different projects going on right now at the Self-Help Center through the Orange County Bar Association and also through the Clerk of Courts itself. We have staff at the downtown Orlando courthouse doing intake 5 days a week for all the types of areas we do here at Legal Aid. On Tuesdays, we have a forms assistance project that we're working with local law students and staff to provide legal information, not advice, but legal information to individuals who are filling out their forms at the courthouse at the Self-Help Center. And then a few days a week, we are providing attorney consultations at the Self-Help Center through a collaboration with the Orange County Bar Association in both downtown Orlando and Winter Park, where individuals can come for $1 a minute with a 15-minute minimum, and it's through the OCBA. That's why there's a fee, because it's not a direct legal aid service, but it is something legal aid is doing, and then we just donate the funds back.
Okay, awesome. Do you have a lot of clients take advantage of these opportunities?
We do. Family law is always our highest area of need at Legal Aid, and we are always looking for ways to assist other individuals, either through the routine litigation process, through the collaborative family law process, or just probably providing them advice. Sometimes they just need to know what their options are and to step back and look at the situation. They don't always end up going to court. Sometimes you just need to know, is this worth it, or do I need to do this? And then we can help answer those questions.
To provide next steps and really that guidance. And you mentioned collaborative law. Can you explain to our viewers what that is?
Collaborative family law is a process, unlike the routine litigation process you see on court where I'm taking you to court, I'm telling my lawyer, we're going to the judge. Collaborative law is a process where both parties to the case, and this is family law, divorce, paternity, where both parties to the case have their own attorney, but they share in having another professional, like a neutral professional. If financial issues are at place and they both have a financial expert that they share together. If parenting issues or psychological issues are in place, they have a therapist that they share together. And then everyone meets as a team. I always say it's like a drawn out mediation because we have what we call group meetings and team meetings, and we give homework to the families to try to do everything collaboratively outside of the court, because we're only here for a season of their lives, but they're gonna be dealing with their family forever. And so we try to avoid as much acrimony as possible if we can, and collaborative law is one of those ways that we could do it. It is usually a paid process, but Legal Aid provides their clients a service free of charge.
Wow, so that's just another option for folks that might want to go that route. That's amazing. And why is access to legal guidance so important for children and family stability?
The easiest answer is these have lifelong impacts on families. These are going to be decisions made today that carry with them not just until the child turns 18, but then beyond. And so we always look at it as providing holistic representation. And we try to reach that client where they are and assist them, not just like with their family issue, if they have a housing issue, if they have consumer, we try to touch on all those issues. We provide wills, bankruptcies. It just depends on what that client needs. So in addition to assisting them with their divorce case, we try to make the greatest impact on them, thereby making the greatest impact on their family and ultimately their communities going forward.
Awesome, and I want to talk to you more about this, so stay with us. These situations don't stop in the moment they begin. When we come back, we'll look at what happens when people try to handle them on their own. Stay tuned.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty.
Thank you for staying with us. Now let's take a look at how families can get the support that they need. You mentioned the do-it-yourself divorce classes, paternity classes, and the Chapter 751. What happens if someone doesn't speak English or Spanish?
If they don't speak English or Spanish, then we would bring them in for a consultation, and we have bilingual staff. We also have the access of interpreters, over-the-phone interpreters, that can assist us with helping clients in any language. What I do want to say is a caveat. Even with the classes that we teach in Spanish, the forms are still in English because all of the forms that are filed in court have to be in English, but we also interpret those forms for them as well.
Okay, so it doesn't matter if someone doesn't speak English, there are forms in English, however, there are translators available. And do the translators cost anything for those clients?
No, it's a service that we provide. We also provide American Sign Language. We represent or help people who are deaf and hard of hearing. We assist individuals who are blind and illiterate. So if there is a way to help someone, we will find a way to help them.
That's amazing. What about for you personally? What are some of the challenges you face day to day in handling family law cases?
Family law cases can be challenging. They can be emotionally challenging for the clients. Sometimes they can also be, like I mentioned before, a bit frustrating. And frustrating for the individual, sometimes frustrating for us, because we know what we can do for a client and we know what is available to them. And sometimes they can't see that path. And our job is to help to get them to that path while still empowering them, because we don't want to make decisions for them, especially since a lot of our clients are victims of domestic violence. And they've come from a situation where someone else has been exercising power and control over them. Making their decisions for them, telling them what they could and couldn't do, and we're not going to do that. We're going to give them their options and let them pick the best option for them. And so day in and day out, we are not only representing individuals, but we are empowering them to assist themselves, either in this system or just in their day-to-day life and how it comes to their legal rights. So we are very big on educating our clients. We may tell them more than what they need to know just because we want them to know it, as well as advocating for them in and out of the courtroom regarding their legal cases.
Right, but knowledge is power, not only for the clients that you're providing, but also for your staff. A lot of training that takes place, both online and in person. Can you talk to us about that?
For our staff?
Yes.
Our staff, we have staff that come to us from every walks of life, right? We have individuals who are at the top of their class at law school. We have individuals who are coming from the criminal defense or prosecution area. We have attorneys who've been practicing law for years, and then we have individuals who come, from our internships and fellowships, because we do offer, in addition to having individuals volunteer, we offer, paid fellowships for law students. We have volunteers coming from undergrads, mostly at UCF. And so we take everybody where they are. Everybody has the same, client base. They just may have a lower number of clients depending on their expertise. We do an annual marital and family law review course with the Florida Bar Family Law Section and American Academy of Matrimonial Lawyers. Everybody goes to that at the end of January. We do trial skills through different programs and vendors throughout the state. We also have in-house training, cross-training, and we pair up the junior attorneys with the senior attorneys so that they can shadow them in court, shadow them at mediation, shadow them at consultations. It just depends on what they need, because there are so many different types of learning styles. So we meet them where they are, the same way we do with our clients. What is your learning style? What do you still need to know? And then we just help to get them to be there, because it is our goal for our staff to be the best they can be to provide the best absolute outcomes for their clients. We prefer quality over quantity, and we do all that we can do to make sure that the clients get what they need and what they deserve.
And that's so important, though, especially looking at the quality to make sure from the beginning to the end, helping the clients both just with their legal case, and then also just being able to handle, supporting them when they're going through this emotional, challenging situation as well. So wearing several hats, as you do. Can you tell us, you've been practicing family law a long time, and like I said, you're an expert, you're very well versed, and you have a lot of wisdom and experience, but share with us a story with a case you handled and how you were able to help a family through a family law issue.
Okay. And I just want to clarify, I am not an expert.
You're modest.
Well, the Florida bar, if an attorney holds himself out to be an expert, they need to be board certified. That is not something I have obtained yet, but it's always something I recommend for other attorneys to become board certified in their areas so they can declare themselves to be subject matter experts. But I have been practicing at legal aid for 25 years, doing family law that entire time, and I've come through a whole host of cases that stay with me to this day. Your first case always stays with you. I think the very first case I had involved a client who sent her child down to Florida from another state to visit dad for the summer. While dad was here, that same client filed for child support. Mom filed for child support against dad. Dad got the child support papers, said, I'm not paying child support. As a matter of fact, I think you're abusing this child. I'm not sending the child back.
Oh my goodness.
So then he refused to send the child back, thinking it was going to be cheaper to have the child and to pay the child support. And then we had to go to court and get a court order ordering him to return that child, finding out that all his allegations of abuse were frivolous and that the child needed to be returned to the mother as soon as possible.
Wow.
It took that mom, I want to say, 3 weeks before she found legal aid. And so for 3 weeks, she was calling everybody she could call to try to get her child back. And when she found us, we were able to take her case, and we were in court, a week later from the time she came to us. Not every case moves that fast, but some cases do. It depends on whether there's an emergency situation or not.
Right. And I know I was practicing and doing family law, and you're absolutely right. The first case does stay with you, and the cases that you really advocate and fight for, to know that you're making a true difference in the lives of your client, and then you're also being able to share that with your colleagues and kind of reinforce the engagement and encouragement to continue the work we do collectively. That's really, really important. What has been one of your takeaways that you'd love to share with regard to your experience at Legal Aid from all these years?
I just really love what I do. I love being able to help people, and sometimes I'm able to spot issues with them that they don't even know they have. I think one of the most recent calls I received was a dad calling us about the mom not allowing him to see the 2-week-old child.
Oh, a little bitty baby.
A little bitty baby. And so we went through the process of, is this something we need to do? Is this a court case we need to file? Or is this something where emotions are running high, and if we just step back for a week or two, things will resolve themselves? Don't let the grandmas fight each other and argue. Don't threaten the mom with court. And then, a week later, he called me to let me know that he was sitting there with his child. Sometimes you don't always have to go to court. You have that right. You absolutely have the right. But sometimes things can be resolved with just a little bit of patience and understanding, and putting yourself in the place of the other parent and thinking of what may be going on with them.
Right. And then also maybe thinking about, especially when there are children involved, the best interests of the children versus the parties fighting each other, but what's best for the little babies or the children that are involved, and what's going to be for their, their benefit.
Yes, we do have those clients where we tell them the court is concerned with the best interests of the children, not what mom wants, not what dad wants, but what is best for the child.
And I know that's something you taught me, is saying that the mom or the dad is going to know the child better than somebody in the court system with regards to fighting for them and what may be, in their best interest as well. So I think that's really important.
Yes.
Okay. What do you think is something that you would encourage someone that maybe is trying to handle a family law issue on their own?
I always say take a breath, step back from it, And then start gathering information, gathering documentation, and then call legal aid or call somebody like legal aid. And even if you call us and you don't qualify for our services, we always refer you somewhere else. So definitely seek help, and don't wait too long to do it, because sometimes you can avoid a lot of errors if you just talk to somebody in the beginning.
Okay, awesome. We're going to keep talking in a little bit. So we'll be right back after we thank our sponsors for their support. Stay tuned. Welcome back to the Domino Effect. Now let's focus on what families can do when they find themselves in these situations. So Tanisha, what does someone need to do if they suddenly find that they get served with a divorce paper or a paternity action? What should be their first step?
The first step should be to call legal aid or some other attorney so that they can have a consultation, know their rights, possibly get assistance with completing their response. Because generally, once you're served with documents, you have 20 days to respond. You have other time frames that are put in place the moment you get those documents. So I always say seek legal help. However, the system is created to assist you on your own. You can go to the Florida Supreme Court Forms website, flcourts.gov, and click on self-help and family law forms. And you can print down all of these forms for free from home. You can even work on them on your phone, and then submit your responses. I always talk to clients too, when you're served with a case, right, it's somebody else's lawsuit. Even though we're calling it a divorce, we're calling it a paternity, that's the type of lawsuit. When you file a response, you can either respond by answering, or you can respond by answering and then countering with your own lawsuit, like a counter petition. And so we talk about the benefits in filing an answer and counter petition versus filing solely an answer. There are fees sometimes associated with filing certain documents, and if the client isn't able to pay those fees, then there are ways sometimes to get the fees waived by filling out the appropriate forms. But I always say contact an attorney, and of course, I would say contact legal aid. You can call us, you can apply online, you can go to the courthouse, to the self-help center at the third floor of the clerks to see if you can do intake there in person. So definitely seek help to make sure you understand, because what I don't want to happen to anyone is I don't want them to miss the deadlines to respond.
That was going to be my question. What happens if, sometimes you get mail and you put it aside even though it has your name on it, and you're like, okay, I know this is for me, but I'm going to put it down here, but that doesn't mean that the contents of the envelope go away. So what happens if someone misses a deadline? What are the consequences?
It depends on the type of case. The consequences can be permanent. So like for instance, if it's an administrative child support case and someone's getting served saying that, or they get a letter saying, mom is here, she says that you're the father, your income is this, her income is this, if you don't respond in so many days, child support is going to be established. Some dads think, or moms, if dad is the one filing, they think if I don't respond, then you can't do anything. And that's wrong. Wow. Depending on if it's like an administrative child support case, you don't respond, you're going to be on the hook for the child support that was listed in that letter. So whenever you get legal documents, you should always respond, always read them. We also have the issue where sometimes they're sending mail to their mom's or the grandma's house, and then they forget to go check their mail. You should always check your mail.
Right.
Always check your mail.
If you have another address listed or you're staying with a family member, make sure to check their mailbox too. And then you touched upon getting a waiver for fees. Can you tell folks how they could do that?
There is a Florida Supreme Court form called the Application for Determination of Civil Indigent Status. And there is a Florida statute that states what are the criteria for being declared indigent or unable to pay court fees and costs and filing fees. So I would always suggest that individuals get that form if they have low income or if they feel that they cannot pay the fee, and then turn that form in with the rest of their documentation.
And if that is approved, then the court costs are waived and they're just responsible for certain fees?
If the form is approved, generally the filing fee is waived, the summons fee is waived, the fee to have the sheriff serve the documents locally is waived. If you have to go to a settlement conference in your case called a mediation, that mediation fee is waived. If you have children involved in your case, because not every case of course has children involved, but if you have children involved in your case, there is a parenting education course that you have to take. Sometimes that fee is waived or reduced. So that piece of paper can save you upwards of, $600 depending on your case type.
Wow.
So that's a very important piece of paper for you to complete.
So one piece of paper could equal a huge amount of savings.
Yes.
So don't neglect on getting that completed and filled out.
Correct.
That's awesome. And how can people best prepare before filing an action in the court when it comes to family law matters?
As an attorney, I say talk to an attorney, all right? But you best prepare by, one, knowing what you want. Like, no one can help you unless, you know an idea of what you like or you have some semblance of the outcome. I'm not saying you need to know the legal phrases for it. I'm just saying you need to know what you want and what you think is going to be best for your family. And then it's the attorney's job to tell you the path to get to your desired outcome. For instance, we get a lot of people to come to us and say, I want sole custody. First and foremost, there's no such thing as sole custody in the state of Florida. We don't even use custody anymore when we're talking about parents and their children. Everything is parental responsibility, time sharing, and a parenting plan. So there could be 6 different types of time sharing in that parenting plan. Do you want to have equal time with both parents, which is the current default in Florida?
So 50-50.
So 50-50, 1 week here, 1 week there.
Right.
Do you want it where one parent has more time than the other parent, like a majority of time sharing? A lot of people come in and say, I want the other parent to have, 1 night a week and every other weekend, which may have been okay 5-10 years ago. The laws have changed, the world has changed, and now we're looking at things that are more unique to each family, which is why that default now is 50-50, and then you have to prove whether 50-50 is in the child's best interest or not in the child's best interest. So for child support, some people come and say, I want, $1,000 a month in child support. Okay, let's run the numbers, because child support is based generally on the income of the parties, whether there is health insurance being paid for the child, whether there's child care, and then how many nights that child spends with each parent. There are other things that can go into play, but those are the general or the default criteria. You plug that into a formula and the outcome of that is how much child support actually will be. And sometimes it's a lot less than people think it is. I have conversations with individuals, especially when we go for back child support, because when you file for back child support, you can go back 2 years prior to the date of filing, or the date where you last lived together, whichever is nearest dates. There are some other things, but this is all general information and not completely legal advice for
Correct.
individuals watching.
Right.
But sometimes they'll go to court and they will pay and litigate this case and end up paying their attorneys, $3,000, $4,000, $5,000 to argue over the retroactive child support when the balance of the child support itself was $2,000.
Oh my goodness. So they
Right.
end up paying more in legal fees and costs than the actual amount of the child support that could have gone to the child.
Right. And sometimes it's the principle, like, I'm not giving him 1 penny, and I will spend $10,000 to make sure I don't have to give you 2. So it just depends. And some of these, of course, are just, the exception rather than the rule. But sometimes I realize that these types of examples stick with people more.
Absolutely. And I want to go ahead and talk to you about a personal accomplishment that you have. So I want to congratulate you on becoming the first African-American chair of the family law section of the Florida Bar. And that's going to be happening June 17th. So I'm really, really excited for you. I know you've put a lot of hard work and effort and time and sacrifice. What does this significance mean to you personally and professionally?
Thank you. I'm extremely excited. I'm also the first full-time legal aid attorney who's going to be the chair of the Florida Bar Family Law Section.
So impressive and outstanding and well-deserved.
Thank you, thank you. I love the opportunity that I have to help advocate on behalf of Florida's families, because through the Family Law Section, we are able to create those forms that we were talking about, that application for determination of civil indigent status. we're able to create rules that help individuals who are not represented by counsel, and even help the ones with attorneys. We are able to go to Tallahassee and speak in support or opposition of some of the laws that are being proposed. From, I would say, the Rudy to the Tootie, we are there to deal with issues in Florida's families.
Wow, and how does that make you feel on a personal level?
Personally, I'm just extremely proud and honored, a little bit scared too, let's not say that, because this is a great responsibility, but this is what I love to do, and I get to do it on a more systemic scale. I get to have a greater impact throughout the state, outside of Orange County, and that is something that, you know, it sticks with me for a year while I'm the chair. And it's a 5-year process to get to where I am, 4-year, 5-year process, but it's something that will always stick with me and be one of the greatest highlights of my career.
Oh, amazing. I'm so proud of you, and I know that you're going to do an amazing and terrific job, so all the best to you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for being with us here today. We really appreciate your insight and your time. We're so thankful to Family Law Litigation Director Tanisha Hall for joining us here today, and we're thankful to you, our viewers, for staying with us. I'm Charlene Stanford Green, and this is the Domino Effect. Till next time.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty.
For over 60 years, the Legal Aid Society has provided legal representation to clients on issues like those discussed in today's episode. Our mission is to ensure that every member of our community has access to high-quality legal support and justice. If you're facing a legal issue, don't hesitate to reach out to the Legal Aid Society of the Orange County Bar Association. Just call 407-841-8310. As a nonprofit law firm, we rely on dedicated volunteers and generous donations to continue our work. To learn how you can get involved, visit legalaidocba.org. Thank you for watching The Domino Effect. And remember, perpetual goodness goes a long way. See you next time.